Hello students, glad to be back with you again, and as usual today also I'll be taking class 10 social science. Okay, class 10 social science. Now last class, in the last session we were discussing about nationalism in India, that is your history chapter 3. Okay, history portion chapter 3, nationalism in India, and we have already started with that. We did till the civil disobedience. Okay, so now here I have written the title nationalism in India. So today let's start with the Simon Commission. Okay, Simon Commission. Now this Simon Commission, it came to India in 1927. Okay, so the Simon Commission, it came to India in 1927. It was sent to India by the Queen of England. Now the reason why this commission was sent to India was in order to discuss with the Indians how to transfer the power back to them. Okay, that means how to give back India her independence. So this commission was sent to India by the Queen of England. Then it came to be called as Simon Commission because the chairman, okay, the chairman of the commission, he was known as Sir John Simon. So that is the reason why this commission came to be called as Simon Commission. So this commission, it came into India, but when it came to India, okay, all the Indians, they started boycotting it. The Indians, they were not happy with the commission, and everywhere in India, they started boycotting it. Now the reason, okay, another reason why the Indians, they were not happy with the commission was, in the commission, there was no Indian member. All the members of the commission, all of them were white people, so to say, the British. So there was no Indian member in the commission. So that is one reason why the Indians, they boycotted it. Then the second point is, in this commission, they did not mention anything about Swaraj. Swaraj means independent. So that is also another reason. Okay, so everywhere when the Simon Commission came to India, all over the world, all over India, the Indians, they started boycotting it because they find that as an insult. Okay, the commission, it was coming for the Indians, and there was no Indian member included in the commission. Then even though the Simon Commission was boycotted everywhere in India, still then the Simon Commission, they were able to tour over India, okay, all over India again, because India was still under the control of the British. So the Simon Commission, they toured all over India, and as we have discussed in your Nagaland book, this Simon Commission, it came even to as far as Kohima. Okay, it came to Kohima in 1929, and in the Naga history, the Simon Commission is also considered important because when this Simon Commission came to Kohima, the NNC, the Naga National Council, they gave a written petition. Okay, they gave a written petition to the Simon Commission to submit it to their queen, and this was the first time. It was the first time that the Nagas had given a written petition to a foreigner. So that is also the reason why it is important in the Naga history. Okay, then after the Simon Commission left India, the Congress, okay, the Indian National Congress, they again decided to have a session. That is, they decided to have a meeting, and the meeting was held at Lahore. Okay, now this meeting, the Congress session at Lahore, is again considered very important because in this session, all the Indians, they decided that now they will ask only for complete independence. Okay, they will not go for any other things but only independence. Then the second one is, they also decided that they will observe 26 January as Independence Day. So these are the two resolutions that the Congress came up in the Congress session at Lahore, which was held in 1929. Okay, then after this, what happened was Gandhiji, he again decided to start with another movement which is called as civil disobedience movement. Okay, now if you look at the features, you will find that civil disobedience movement, it has lots of similarities with the non-cooperation movement also. Okay, both of them, they have lots of similarities. So here, when Gandhiji started this civil disobedience on 12 March 1930. Okay, he started this on 12 March 1930. And how he started this civil disobedience was, he started it with a march which is called as Dandi March. Okay, he started it with a march which is called as Dandi March. Now here Dandi, that is the name of a village. Okay, it's a name of a village in Gujarat. Now what Gandhiji did was, he started this march starting from his ashram. Now when he started the march, there were only a few people, okay, there were only a few of them following him. But what happened was, when he reached the village of Dandi, thousands of villagers were following him. They found out that thousands of people were behind him. Now the reason how so many came up was, whenever he crossed the village, all the villagers there, they used to start following him, because we all know that Gandhiji, he worked for the poor people. Okay, he really worked for the untouchables. He even said that the word untouchable is not good. So what he did was, he gave another name for them, which is called as the Harijan. So he told the people that instead of calling them untouchables, they should call them Harijan. Okay, then we all know that Gandhiji, he even constructed lots of ashram where the untouchables, that is the untouchable peoples or the Harijans, can go and live there. They can live there, get education and so on. So because of all this thing, whenever he went, the villagers, they started following him. And in the end, when he reached the village of Dandi, there were thousands of villagers, okay, thousands of Indians who were following him. Now when he reached this village, what he did was, he went and he made salt himself. Okay, he went and made salt himself from the sea water. The reason why he did this was, now the Britishers, okay, the British government, they were imposing tax. Okay, they were imposing lots of tax, and tax was also imposed on salt. Now if you are, the point here is, if you are manufacturing something by yourself in your own country, you need not pay tax. Okay, but if you are bringing something from outside the country, for that though you have to pay tax. And here the Indians, they were manufacturing the salt themselves. So when the Britishers imposed tax on them, they did not like it. So what Gandhiji did was, just to defy, okay, Gandhiji, he wanted to defy the salt law, and that is why when he reached the village of Dandi, he decided to prepare the salt himself from the sea water. Okay, now everywhere people were agitating against the Britishers. So because of this, again what happened was, the then Viceroy of India, he is called as Lord Irwin. Okay, now Lord Irwin, he decided to have a talk with Gandhiji. So he called Gandhiji, and Gandhiji and Lord Irwin, they signed a pact which came to be called as Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Okay, it's there written clearly in your textbook. So Irwin means the name of the then Viceroy of India. So both of them, they signed a pact. Pact means treaty, and there they decided that on one side, that is Lord Irwin, the Viceroy of India, he also said that he will release all those Indians who have been put into prison because of agitating against the British. And on the side of Gandhiji, he also said that he will attend the Round Table Conference that was to be held in London. So this is how the civil disobedience movement came to an end. Okay, now all this movement, as we have discussed, all those movements that Gandhiji introduced, whether it is to do with civil disobedience, okay, non-cooperation, Quit India movement and so on, all those things, what happened was, all this shows that it became a mass movement where everybody took part. And the reason was because of Gandhiji. Because when Gandhiji entered the Indian political scene, the national movement became a mass movement. That means mass means big, okay? Because all the Indians, they started following Gandhiji. So that is to do with Gandhi's movement. Okay. Now next topic we have this Subhash Chandra Bose. You may be wondering why we are going to discuss about this man, that is Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay. Now one thing you need to remember is he was the one who formed this INA. INA means Indian National Army. Okay. He was the one who founded this Indian National Army, and they took a great role in fighting against the Britishers. So that is also one reason. Okay. So regarding this man, Subhash Chandra Bose, or we call him as Netaji also. Okay. Now what he did was he was a great revolutionary fighter. Okay. He was a great revolutionary fighter. He was a brilliant person also. When he was young, he appeared for this ICS. ICS, those days it was called as ICS, Indian Civil Service. Okay. Now what he did was he gave this exam, he got through, he passed and he got a job. But because of his patriotic feeling, he decided to give up his job. So he gave up his job and he joined the Congress. Now after joining the Congress, he was even elected to be the president twice. Okay. He became the president of the Congress twice. But because of his ideology, he and Gandhi's ideology, it was just the opposite. We have discussed that Gandhiji, he believes in satyagraha, that means non-violence. Whereas on the other side, we know that Netaji, that is Subhash Chandra Bose, he was the one who founded this INA, Indian National Army. So that means he wanted to fight for independence. Whereas Gandhiji, he doesn't like violence. So because of their differences in ideology, Subhash Chandra Bose, he broke away from the Congress. Okay? He broke away from the Congress and he founded his own group, which came to be called as the Forward Bloc. So he formed another group which is called as Forward Bloc. Okay? Now after forming this bloc, he had lots of followers. And also by the time the Second World War had already broken out. Okay? The Second World War had already broken out. Second World War, it broke out on 1st September 1939. So the war had already broken out, and what the Britishers decided to do was they got scared, so they decided to put him under house arrest. So Subhash Chandra Bose was put under house arrest. But one night he was able to disguise himself as a Pathan and he was able to escape from his house. Now after escaping from his house, he went to Pakistan, okay? Then he went to Kabul, that is Afghanistan. Then he also went to Moscow, that is Russia, okay? Then Germany, okay? Then China, Japan, and so on. Now, the reason why he was going to all these countries, okay, that is Afghanistan or Russia, Japan, okay, Germany and so on, is in the Second World War, all these countries were enemies of the Britishers. Okay, all these countries were enemies of the Britishers. And so he knew that if he goes to these countries, this country will be able to help him. Because all these countries, they don't want the British to be controlling over India because they are enemies. Okay? So Subhash Chandra Bose, he went to all these countries because he knew that all these countries will be able to help him. Plus, he also knew that if he goes to all these countries, he will be able to find this. That is, we call it as POW. Okay? POW means prisoners of wars. Okay? So Second World War is going on. Many Indians were there recruited in the British Army and they were fighting against the British enemies. And many of them, thousands of them, have been captured by the enemies of the British. So they were being kept as prisoners of wars in all these countries. So that was the reason why Subhash Chandra Bose, he decided to go to these countries. Okay? And when he went to Germany, even Hitler, okay, Hitler also, he decided to help him. Hitler said that he will help him, okay? And so together with all these countries, he was able to form the Indian National Army through this, okay? By bringing together the prisoners of wars who were stationed there in other countries, he was able to form this Indian National Army. And this Indian National Army, they also played a great role in fighting against the Britishers in order to gain independence. Now, if you go back, okay, if you go back to class 9, in class 9 Nagaland book, we have discussed about the Battle of Kohima. And in the Battle of Kohima, we have discussed about the Japanese coming to Kohima to fight against the Britishers. And there, what happened was, when the Japanese came to Kohima, okay, the INA, Subhash Chandra Bose also, along with his Indian National Army, they came with the Japanese and they fought a battle with the Britishers in Kohima, okay. So that is to do with Subhash Chandra Bose. Unfortunately, he died, okay. He died on a plane crash. So whatever it is, even though he died, his spirit, okay, his spirit still lives on. That is what the historians believe in. Because his word, that is his slogan, was Jai Hind, okay. And nowadays in the present day, Jai Hind, that word is very famous, okay. Then the war cry of the INA was Delhi Chalo, okay. Let's go to Delhi, so to say, okay. So all these are to do with Subhash Chandra Bose. So this is how he was able to help the Indians in fighting against the Britishers, okay. So I hope you have understood that far. Now, we all know that the Second World War, it ended in 1945. The Second World War, it came to an end in 1945 with the surrendering of the Japanese, okay. The Japanese, they were the last country to surrender. They were refusing to surrender. So what the Americans did was, they bombed the two cities of the Japanese, that is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And because of the destruction, it compelled the Japanese government to surrender. So with the surrendering of the Japanese, the Second World War also came to an end. Now, after the Second World War ended, the British, okay, in Britain, they had their general election. Election was conducted. And in this election, the Labour Party, okay, the Labour Party, they won the election. And Mr. Clement Attlee, he became the Prime Minister of England. Now, what he did was, he again, okay, he and the Queen, the government, they decided to send a mission to India, because now the Britishers, they were thinking of handing over the powers back to the Indians. That means now the Britishers, they were also planning to give India her independence. But just like that, they cannot say you are free, okay? Because first they need to find out whether India will be able to stand by herself, whether she will be able to look after herself. Then only they can give independence to India. So the British government, they decided to send a commission to India, which came to be called as the Cabinet Mission, okay? It came to be called as the Cabinet Mission. And this Cabinet Mission, it came to India in 1946, okay. So the Cabinet Mission, it came to India in 1946, and as I've said, the reason was to discuss with the Indians how to transfer the power back to them, that is, how to give back India her independence. So this commission, they came to India, they had lots of talks, okay, hundreds of talks were done between the Cabinet Mission and the Indian leaders. But nothing, they could not come to a conclusion. Because on one side, both of them, they want their independence, okay, that is the Indians, they want their independence. But by then, we all know that on the one side we have the Congress, on the other side we have the Muslim League. All these we have discussed in class 9, so I won't go into detail now. So we have the Muslim League and the Congress. And by now, what happened was, the Muslims, okay, the Muslim League, they wanted a new country for themselves. Okay, the Muslim League, They wanted a new country for themselves. They don't want to be a part of India. So because of this, even though the cabinet mission, they had lots of talks, okay, meetings with the different leaders, the end was nothing could come out. There was no end, there was no conclusion, nothing could come out from that meeting. And so because of that, the cabinet, okay, they decided that they will give their own plan, okay, since even though they were asking the Indians about their plan, their decision, what they wanted, the Muslims and the Hindus, they could not come together. So because of that, now the cabinet, they decided that they will give India their plan. So that came to be called as Cabinet Mission Plan, which is written there in your textbook. Okay, it's there in the textbook. That is the last topic. So now the cabinet mission, they decided that they will give India their own proposal. Okay, so here what they did was, the first point was, they say that the cabinet mission proposal was, there shall be, okay, a federal union of India. In India, or Indian government will be a federal union. That means comprising both the British India and the princely state. Okay, princely states means we are talking about those states which are being ruled by kings, that is Raja Ranis and all. Okay, so the first proposal was, there will be a federal union of, or a federal system of India. Then they also gave a proposal that the center, okay, the center shall have 3 powers. Okay, the center shall have 3 powers. Then they also decided that they will set up an interim government. Okay, interim. Interim means, or here they suggested that they will set up an interim. Interim means, so to say, temporary. Okay, temporary. What we meant here is, the cabinet mission, they came to India in 1946. They gave their proposal in 1946, and you all know that we got our independence in 1947. So in between 1946 and 1947, the cabinet mission, the proposal was, they will set up an interim government, that is a temporary government. Okay, and after India got her independence, they can go for a real election. So that was also another proposal of the cabinet mission plan. Then they also gave a proposal that a treaty, okay, a treaty shall be negotiated between the Indians government, or India and UK, United Kingdom, or Britain. Don't get confused here, okay? England, Britain, UK, same country, okay? Then another thing is, they also suggested that a constituent assembly will be set up, and this constituent assembly, it will have, okay, 389 members. The British India will have 292 seats, Indian states will have 93 seats, and the province will have 4 seats. So this was the proposal of the cabinet mission plan. Okay, now when they gave this proposal, the Congress, they accepted it. The Muslim League, in the beginning, they were not willing. They were not willing to accept it. But looking at the proposal, they came to realize, okay, the Muslim League, they came to realize that there is a possibility there. There are some positive points there. So that is why they accepted the proposal. Okay, so in the end, both the Congress and the Muslim League, they accepted the proposal. Then after that, what happened was, the last Viceroy of India, that is Lord Mountbatten, he came to India as the Viceroy, and we all know that India got her independence in 1947. But when she got her independence, what happened was, the Britishers, they decided to give India her independence in 1947, but the result was, they divided India into 2. That is India for the Hindus majority and Pakistan for the Muslims majority. So that is to do with this chapter. Okay, now I'll just give you a recap again, because we have done the first part in the last session. Okay, so we are doing the nationalism in India, that is how nationalism came into India. Okay, nationalism means feeling of unity, where everybody feels that even though they belong to different religion, they speak different languages, okay, they all feel that they are one. They all believe that they are brothers and sisters. So nationalism means unity. Then the Indians, they came to know about this, that is the importance of nationalism because of education. Then in your class 10 topic, we start this nationalism in India. It starts with the entering of Gandhiji. You all know who Gandhiji was, okay? And Gandhiji, what he did was, when he entered the Indian political scene, the Indian nationalist movement or the Indian national movement became a mass movement. That means it became a very big movement where everybody, all the Indians, they took part. And the reason was, Gandhiji, he worked for the poor people. He really worked and cared for the poor people. So when he started this movement, okay, when he became the leader, all the Indians, they started following him. Then Gandhiji, again, he knew that physically the Indians, they will never be able to defeat the British. So that is the reason why he introduced Satyagraha. Okay? Satyagraha means non-violence. Non-violence plus fighting for truth. So Gandhiji, he introduced this Satyagraha in order to fight against the British. Then when the Indians were suffering, he started this Champaran Satyagraha. Champaran Satyagraha, that is to do with the indigo planters, okay, where he told the indigo planters not to pay tax and so on, just to show the British government that the Indians were not happy with them. Okay. Then even in the Kheda Satyagraha also same thing. Then we have also discussed that Swaraj. Swaraj means independence. But when we talk about Swaraj, the meaning of Swaraj, it differs from person to person. For those people in the saying, we call them as tribal people. So for the tribal people, Swaraj means getting freedom, okay? Getting their freedom from the landlords, or getting the having the freedom to do whatever they want, especially in the forest, to do with the Andhra Pradesh, the tribals in Andhra Pradesh, okay? Then we have also discussed that Gandhiji, he started this non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement means where Gandhiji, he told the Indians not to cooperate with the British, okay? Not to fight, but not to cooperate with the British. So through this, he believes that the Indians, they will be able to get their independence. So he introduced the non-cooperation movement, and in the non-cooperation movement, all the Indians, they decided to obey Gandhiji. And so students also, they left their schools. They did not go to attend the schools. Okay. Then even the lawyers also, they gave up the practices, and everywhere people were agitating. We have also discussed about the title. I hope you still remember. Title, when we talk about title, okay, during those days, since India was under the control of the Britishers, we all know that they used lots of title. Title means like Lord, Lady, Duke, Duchess and all, okay. So what they did was, the Queen, she gave lots of title to the Indian leaders. Many of the Indian leaders were also knighted by the Queen, okay. Now even Gandhiji was also knighted, but during the non-cooperation movement, he surrendered back his title, and many of the Indian leaders, they surrendered back their title. And those title, it was to do with this, Sir, okay. Out here we can call anyone as Sir, right? But for the Britishers, that is a title, okay, and you cannot call someone as Sir until and unless he is being knighted by the Queen. So many Indian leaders, they also gave up their surrendered their title, okay. Then even to do with this, so the point is, because of that, nowadays we don't refer or we don't call Gandhiji as Sir Gandhiji, right? But when we talk about the Muslim League leader, that is Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he is called as Sir Syed Ahmad Khan because his title was given to him by the Queen. Okay, so all these were done during the non-cooperation movement. Then we have also discussed that the non-cooperation movement came to an end because of the Chauri Chaura incident, isn't it, where the policemen were killed. So Gandhiji had to call off the non-cooperation movement. Then we have discussed about the Simon Commission, the commission that came to India in order to discuss with the Indians, but when they came, the Indians, they boycotted it because there was no Indian member in the commission. Then we have discussed about the civil disobedience movement, and we did about this thing, Subhash Chandra Bose also, how he formed the Indian National Army and what they did, okay, in order to make India win back her independence. And the last point was, we have discussed about the cabinet mission. The cabinet mission, it was sent to India in order to discuss how to transfer the power back to the Indians. But even though after having talks with so many leaders, they could not come to an conclusion. And that is why the cabinet mission, they decided that they will give their own proposal. So that is called as the cabinet mission proposal. And there we have discussed that they decided that India will be a federal, okay, involving both the British and the princely state. Then the center will have 3 powers, okay. Then we have also discussed about the First World War and so on. Then we have also discussed that a treaty shall also be negotiated. A treaty will be signed between the UK and the Indians. So all this we have discussed in this chapter. So I hope I was able to make you understand some points, okay. Now in the next session, I'll be taking the last chapter in the history portion, which is called as trade and globalization. So I hope next class also you'll be able to join me, okay. So for today, that is to do with that. Thank you, stay safe and be good.